Welcome to the Feast for the Soul. I am so excited that you're here. We're halfway through, or more than halfway through, our 40 days of spiritual practice. And I'm so glad you chose to join this program today. We have a special longtime faculty member, Anam Thubten. Welcome and good morning to you. And he is here as a gift to us. And Anam Thubten grew up in Tibet, and he actually has a practice community here in California, up by the Bay Area. He's written a number of books, and I just got the name of your newest book, which is, oh gosh, well, I know there's No Self, No Problem, and the latest is The Citadel of Awareness. And I'll put a little contact information in the chat for you for later. But for right now, I want you to welcome Thubten. Thank you so much for being here today. I'd like to turn it over to you.
Thank you for the invitation. Let's sit in silence for a few moments. It's really nice to participate the Winter Feast of the Soul. I've been participating in it for quite a long time, and I always feel that I'm in connection with so many people from different walks of life. It's a Sangha, it's a noble community. I also know that many people from different sacred traditions offer their wisdom and their practices to this community. And here I am representing the Buddhist tradition, especially the Tibetan Buddhism. Perhaps meditation is the main discipline in the Buddhist tradition, such as vipassana, mindfulness, and there are many forms of meditation in the Buddhist tradition. But on the other hand, meditation is not really Buddhist practice. It's a bigger than Buddhist practice. I think meditation is just this timeless spiritual practice that many traditions already developed. There are different forms of meditation in traditions like Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, and so forth. But meditation can be doorway to sacred or the divinity, and then in the more practical sense, I think meditation is really about learning to work with your mind, with your thoughts and emotions, which is such a necessary skill. This is a skill that people need. And when we don't have that skill as a society, and then there's a lot of problem in society because society is not mature. Whereas if more people began to practice meditation, not just our individual consciousness began to evolve, but I think the whole society is going to be mature, wiser. And right now, you will see that there's a lot of confusion, conflict, disharmony, and volatility in almost every part of the world. And perhaps it has to do with the fact that our way of life is so busy right now, and also very complex, more than it used to be. And in addition to it, there's the news cycle and the social media that constantly bombard our mind and make our little brain quite crazy. And therefore many people are being agitated and stressed out, or even kind of angry. I think lots of people are losing their cool and dignity. And this is a demonstration that the society is not very mature in general. I'm sure there are individuals like yourself who are very mature, who are evolved, and who have a very strong spiritual practice. And therefore, meditation is a skill in this case. It's spiritual practice, but I would say it's a skill. It's a psychological skill, and that teaches us how to work simply with our mind and with our thoughts and with our emotions. And as you know, that thoughts and emotions are extremely powerful. Recently, one of my friends told me that in her deep reflection, she came to this realization that often her emotions are actually created by thoughts. And then I sat for a while. It turned out to be true. That is true with my own experience. Lots of my emotions are actually somehow or another product of thoughts. And whenever a thought arises, it creates some kind of this energy in your system, which is often the emotion. And let's say, if you say the weather's a gratitude, and then automatically you feel kind of joyous. And if you tell yourself, my house is really wonderful, and at that moment you feel kind of happy. Or if you have a thought saying, I'm really lucky, I'm really fortunate, and immediately you kind of feel very happy. But on the other hand, imagine you have a more like negative thought in your mind. If you have this story, then your mind says, oh, I'm unlovable, or whatever. My life is filled with problems, or I don't like where I'm living right now, or I don't trust people in my life. Immediately you see that your whole being just get very contracted, and you feel there is a conflict and somewhere in your life, or maybe in your relationship with people or with the world, but at least you feel this kind of pain immediately, emotional pain, which is being like contracted. So therefore, thoughts are very powerful forces that often create all kind of moods and sense of being happy, unhappy, depressed, blissed out, and then of course emotions are very powerful, so powerful that sometimes emotions motivate us to take actions and to say things that sometimes we don't want to say. And sometimes of course emotions can be very wonderful, but the emotions can be sometimes destructive if we don't know how to work with them. But the main theory in the Tibetan Buddhism, which is based on the Vajrayana Tantric Buddhism, is what they call non-rejecting, the whole path of non-rejecting. Whereas I think other Buddhist traditions teach the way to work with your emotions is to suppress them, to reject them, or to even categorize emotions into three things: the good or wholesome, and unwholesome, and the neutral. And they teach to push away or to suppress these unwholesome emotions, and to cultivate wholesome emotions as much possible, and don't worry about the neutral ones. I think that's their kind of message. Whereas the Tibetan Buddhism teaches the path of or the means of a non-rejection, which means that we don't or we should not suppress, we should not reject our emotions, regardless their characteristic might be. As you see, some emotions can be very sublime, especially if you are a spiritual practitioner like yourself, who perhaps have a daily spiritual observance like prayers, contemplation, or sadhana liturgies, and then you'll experience almost like transcendent experiences, feelings that maybe many ordinary people don't experience, like devotion, like love of the divine. A love of divine is a particular emotion, but it's a very benevolent because it helps you to feel that you're free from your ego, from the trouble of the small self, and you feel the world is a magical, world is intrinsically sacred, and those who practice in a sacred tradition often do liturgies or reflections that have to do with the devotion or love of the divine or the sacred, such as like rituals, sadhanas, and so forth. And then also in many traditions, they practice their version of loving kindness. For example, in my tradition, people often practice loving kindness meditation based on the what they call four immeasurables, where you visualize the all living beings, and then you try to open your heart towards them, and you feel this love, compassion towards not just humanity, but towards all living beings. And these experiences are sublime, but they don't really occur in the mind of everybody unless you are specifically practicing these techniques. So, and then also, of course, as people in general, we often experience wholesome emotions like joy, happiness, trust, love, maybe to love our friends or to love even our pet animal. It's very easy to perhaps love your animal, your pet, or even to walk outside just to appreciate the wonder of the natural world. And these are kind of wholesome emotions. But then sometimes, as you know, the negative emotions tend to occur in our mind quite often, like worry, anxiety, anger, or sometimes even hatred. But Vajrayana, the Tibetan Buddhism teaches that we should not reject them. We should embrace all of them and start to learn, be grounded in your body, but be grounded in your awareness. They use this word awareness quite a lot. Be grounded in awareness, and then just to welcome all these forces, these powerful forces, love, compassion, joy, anger, anxiety, hatred, even just welcome them while you're completely grounded in your awareness. And so these emotions no longer have the power to bind you, because you feel that once you're grounded in awareness, and you are much bigger than your emotions. And sometimes they kind of use this even analogies in my tradition, like being like mountain. Like imagine that you're being a mountain energetically, nothing can really shake you. We sometimes use this analogy of this tree, this giant tree. It is a root, is in the ground, and then whatever happens, rain or wind, earthquake, nothing really can completely challenge that giant tree, that giant ancient tree, like some of those giant redwoods in Northern California, just like that. And you feel that you are grounded in this awareness, and your emotions, your mood actually don't have the power to throw off you of the balance. So this is pretty much really what meditation is. Simply working with your thoughts and emotions, and we are no longer at the mercy of this powerful internal forces. Whereas, and without such a practice, we are easily at the mercy of this internal, wild, mischievous, unpredictable forces, and some of them are kind of dangerous. I think some of our emotions are like a volcano, some of them are like tsunami, or some of them are like, I don't know, like tornadoes. So there are tornadoes in each of us. You don't have to really live in southern part of United States to witness tornado. I think there's an internal tornado, and that kind of happens all the time, except sometimes there's no warning sign. But the tornado happens, the internal tornado happens quite a lot, and can be very destructive. It may not destroy your house, but definitely can destroy your inner peace, and can sometimes even inspire, not so much inspire, but can even kind of force you to take actions or do things, and that turned out to be not so noble in the end, or motivate you to say things that you later regret. And therefore, this skill how to deal with your thoughts, emotions, is truly precious. And I think every human being should develop this skill. This skill will help us to find inner peace and help us to evolve, in the end help us to basically achieve self-actualization. I think the self-actualization is, in my understanding, state of your being where you basically actualize your potentials, your spiritual potentials, whatever that means. And everybody has a desire for self-actualization, even though they may not even know the word. So this skill will help us to develop peace, inner peace, and help us to also let go of our issues, internal issues like habitual tendencies, and help us to basically evolve and to become more compassionate and more loving and wiser, and even help in the end us to realize transcendence, which is going beyond the small self, the ego. And in short, the skill teaches us how to work with our thought, emotions, so we won't be completely ruled by our experiences. And usually, when we don't have that skill, and then I think we are often lost in our experiences. This is why people get upset, angry, confused. This is why people are kind of holding on to emotions like anger for like a long period of time, and sometimes years, sometimes even decades too. And therefore, this is a skill that everybody should try to learn. So I'm going to invite everybody to meditate together. Maybe I spoke enough, and now we'll get to the heart of the matter, which is the meditation practice. Let's sit together, and first you might like to change your posture a little bit. You might be sitting in cross-legged posture, that's okay, or you might be sitting on chair, that's fine too. Just sit wherever you are, and then you might like to hold your back straight for a while. Let your shoulders relax. And you might like to close your eyes for the time being and just feel your body. You can say, I'm here. Usually we are everywhere in our mind. We are over there, we are somewhere in the past, we are somewhere in the future. We are kind of lost in all kind of thoughts, project, to-do list, which have no relevance to the present moment. Feel that you are here. Feel your body. Feel the sensations in your body, the feet touching the ground. Feel your clothes touching your skin, or your hands resting on your knees, on your thighs. Feel the energetic movement in your belly. Feel the movement to your chest, expanding, contracting, rising, falling. Feel all this movement in your belly and chest. And then you may feel that you're completely here right now, you're present, you're in your body. Now slowly bring your attention to an object, maybe breath in your nostrils. Begin to notice the breath in your nostrils. Notice the sensations of breathing in and breathing out. Let go of all your thoughts and keep coming back to the breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel the energetic movement of breathing, and you can even be aware of the sensations in your nostrils, the cool air, the warm air. Notice that all your thoughts are now subsiding, and continue to concentrate on the breath and feel perhaps that you are now one with the breath. Nothing else exists except the breath, which is just an energetic movement. Continue to rest your attention on the breath. Now gently let go of your concentration. Simply relax. Feel free to open your eyes or you can close them. You can open whenever you want them or continue to keep them closed. And then mind wanders. Now what I'm going to do here, let go of all your effort. Feel that you are now dropping into a state of a non-doing. Don't try to control or restrain your senses. Just leave all your senses alone. And then notice that there is a awareness that reveals by itself in such a relaxation. Now you're aware of sound, sensations in your body. Now you're aware of the thoughts, rising and falling away thoughts. And if you open your eyes, now you're aware of the colors, patterns, the color of the tree outside of your window, or the flower, or the computer screen in front of you. And don't try to use any effort to be aware or to hear or to listen or to see. Just relax, and then all the senses are here already. The awareness is already here, and everything else is simply unfolding in the field of your unawareness. You may feel that the whole world is simply happening in front of you. You feel that you don't have to go anywhere. The world of form is actually coming towards you. And then our mind, our thinking mind, sometimes wants to label, judge what we're experiencing. That might be thoughts or mood, or maybe even object outside. And don't follow the thinking mind. Continue to rest in that awareness. When a thought arises, don't give your attention to it. And then thoughts are naturally transient, soon, and they all will go away on their own, and don't leave any trace in your consciousness. Similarly, moods, sensations are also transient. Let them arise and then let them dissolve on their own. Feel that you're allowing yourself to enjoy all this play of reality or play of life. Everything is play of life. Everything that you're experiencing right now is a play of life. Just like the clouds in the sky or the play of existence. Continue to relax. Welcome everything that is happening in the field of your own awareness. And don't try to change or modify your present experience. If you're experiencing joy, be with that. If you are feeling boredom, be with that. So try to, or even don't try, but allow yourself to feel that all this experience is actually happening not to you, but in this field of your own awareness. And so you don't need to identify with these experiences anymore. Pause and come back to the present moment. I might like to inquire what is happening in my body and in my mind. This help us to be present when we are lost in our thoughts during the meditation, which happens quite often. And then let go of that inquiry, continue to relax and rest in that natural awareness. Now let me invite everybody to meditate on four immeasurables: immeasurable compassion, immeasurable love, immeasurable empathetic joy, and immeasurable equanimity. The way we do this meditation is by chanting these phrases on the immeasurables. Please repeat after me. This is a traditional Buddhist prayer. You can even put one of your hands on your chest, like feel that now you are connecting with your heart that is naturally loving, compassionate, courageous, selfless. May all beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all beings never be separate from joy that knows no sorrow. May all beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment and hatred. Ashasamaha, 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 Ashasamaha. Thank you everybody for participating in this practice.
Thank you so much for guiding us in those wise words and in that beautiful practice. Just love how you remind us everything is happening in the play of our awareness. It's happening in our awareness, and to not reject anything, but to welcome everything. And the way you articulated the thoughts on and their ripple effect into feelings and behaviors is essential. So thank you so much for being here. And that beautiful chant at the end. The four immeasurables, would you share again? I tried to write them down. The immeasurable compassion, immeasurable love, immeasurable empathetic joy, which mudita, right? And immeasurable, what's the last one?
Immeasurable equanimity, but you'll notice that I basically mentioned quite different order of that practice. That is a part from the tradition and the Buddhist teaching. Usually the order of that goes immeasurable love, immeasurable compassion, immeasurable empathetic joy, and immeasurable equanimity. But some Buddhist teachers actually change the order in a way that works with their mind. And I feel it's easy to feel love towards everybody once I feel compassion. I feel it's a little bit difficult to feel love everybody right away. And once I see everybody's a human being, I see everybody's pretty much the same. I can put myself in other people's shoes. Through meditation, I can see that people are really the same behind their persona and persona that we created. Let's say maybe you have somebody you don't like, maybe not in real life, but you may have some celebrity or politician that you really don't like. And then in your mind, you created a some kind of persona of that person, image of that person, and you may find that person is quite unlovable, and you may feel that person utterly devoid any kind of sacredness, and you may feel that that person doesn't feel pain, doesn't feel any suffering, doesn't feel love, and that person has no friend, that person never cries, that person is intrinsically just unlovable. All he or she does is to just challenge you. And but that is not true. That person is same as you and me. That person laughs at jokes. That person cries when he or she get whatever confused or lonely or have a tragedies in his or her life. Fundamentally, all human beings are same, and I think compassion arises when you remove all these false images or personas of other people that our mind constructed, and you're able to kind of connect with their humanness, and then you realize that actually these people are suffering as anybody else, and then the compassion comes naturally. And once you feel compassion towards somebody, then it's possible to even have a love towards that person. And to me, love in this context is like good intention. It's not like love that people often talk about in the Western language. Love is very specific in Buddhism. It has to do with having a good intention. If you have a good intention towards somebody, actually, you are experiencing love toward that person. Love in Pali metta, in Tibetan chamba, in Sanskrit maitra. For example, when people write emails in many Buddhist communities, they sometimes say love, like they say much love, but some people write metta, they say metta. It's a Pali word for love, which is actually a wonderful idea to write that simple word, metta means love. So love is a good intention in Buddhism, like having a good intention. And specifically, it's experience, intention that wishes a person, such person, or a group of people, or the whole humanity, or all living beings to have happiness and a cause of happiness. And this is what love is. Just try to imagine somebody you love in your life, your family members, and you see that you have every good intention. You wish your family members, you wish your whatever parents, you wish your children, you wish your spouse to be happy, and you wish they be happy and healthy, and they would have a great life. So love in Buddhism is a good intention. I hope that makes sense. And the last one is immeasurable equanimity.
Would you say a sentence or two about that?
Pardon me?
Would you say a sentence or two about equanimity? And
Yes, equanimity. Some Buddhist teachers put that first because they think once you feel equanimity, then easy to love, have compassion. But I always put that at the last of the four immeasurables, which is very much how it is taught in the Buddhist tradition. I think equanimity is where you are not so bound by bias and hatred. And I think we human beings are always going to love some people more than others, which is totally understandable. Maybe there are individuals in the history who kind of transcended everything and able to love everybody equally, but that seems to be a very difficult task. You see, I think the idea, at least, is it's very, I would say, it's a very idealistic ideal, the equanimity. it's a transcendence where basically you love everybody equally, which is a kind of almost a little bit uncomprehendable. Like imagine that you love everybody, your neighbors, your friends, and your enemy. Maybe you have no enemy, but you're able to love people in everywhere in the world as much you love whatever your family members. Basically, you love everybody equally. You have no more bias. You have no more preferences. That's the idea. I think we can maybe experience such state of transcendence here and there a little bit in the deep meditation, but it would be very difficult to have that equanimity in everyday life. And so to me, the real interpretation of that is it's not so much that you have to love everybody equally, but in a way that you're not so lost in bias, not so lost in preferences. And I think as long as you're able to kind of have a love, the love that I talked about in accordance with the four immeasurables, and then compassion towards everybody, I think you could say that you experience equanimity. But this does not mean you are able to love everybody equally. You can love everybody, but I think we love everybody differently.
It reminds me of the way the sun shines on everything, that kind of love.
Right, yes, like having like general compassion towards everyone,
Yeah.
or general love towards everybody, like wishing everybody to be happy. And once you have that, I think you could say that's equanimity.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm going to stop recording now.